Look, we turning conversation into application. This ain't for you if you can't handle deep communication. I see too many trying to teach when they need all the teaching. If you can't practice what you preach, then what's the point of speaking? Look, we thank the Lord for another season. Don't think they ready for you, Lee. I think them boys are sleeping. But we gon' hustle every hour like it's our last. Open up your mind, it's the converSAYtion podcast. Yeah.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the converSAYtion podcast. I am your host, Leon Reed Jones, and welcome to the place where we turn conversation into application. My special guest today, he is a fellow Eastsider. Shout out to the Eastside. He is the eldest of 3 siblings. He is the first in his family to obtain a degree in college, and he is currently working over as a member and a teammate at the global Microsoft team. Today, I got my guy Lonsani in the building, man. What's going on, bro? How you feeling?
Man, that introduction was crazy.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
I'm feeling good, man. Happy Sunday.
Yes, sir, man.
Yes, sir.
Glad to have you here. Just from our conversation, just off, camera, just hearing a little bit of your story. I'm excited to get into it today because I feel like just hearing or seeing what you're saying about your story, I think is going to impact and help a lot of people, bro. So my first question that I always ask my guests, if you had to use one word to describe yourself, what would it be?
If I had to use one word to describe myself, probably calm.
Okay.
Yeah, calm, patient, some derivative of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why calm or patient? Why would you say that?
I think for the most part, it takes a lot to throw me off my square. And I give a lot of credit to that ability for like me being able to wait out the storm when it comes to just life ups and downs. You know what I mean? So my friends always tell me, it's like nothing can phase you, man. And it's not that. It's just patient, only things that are bad kind of last for a moment. For a long time. So patience for sure. Yeah,
I respect it, man, because I feel like a good part of myself is like that as well. Like you get to a point where it's like, man, I done seen this before. This may be a new challenge. This may be a new thing that I'm going through that's going to help me. But like when your mind is shaped, like I know I've seen trials before. I've seen tribulation. This may be new. This may be something different, but I've seen a tribulation before. So it's nothing that, like you said, it's only gonna last for a certain while. So I think that's a great place to be. I think I saw a post or a quote that's like, if or even if, is a great place to be. Like, okay, if this happens, cool. If it don't happen, I'm good. Because I know that if I'm doing the right thing, if I'm taking the right steps, I'm gonna be good.
It's about the journey.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Who you become in the journey is more important than the end result.
Yeah, that's a fact, man. Yeah. And I just want us to start from the beginning, right? We talked a little bit off camera about it, but tell the folks about your upbringing, like where you come from, how you got to where you are as far as your upbringing, like where you started off, where you ended up, type of situation.
Of course, yeah. You kind of said an eldest of 3, first generation college student, but even more than that, I'm a first generation just immigrant, right? First generation American. I was born in Chicago, but as soon as I was born, like 8 months later, I moved back to Sierra Leone. And then I came back to America at around 5-6 years old. And then, I've been on the East Side.
Yeah, shout out to East Side, man. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so it's been a journey for sure, but I feel like the whole sort of combination of my life experiences is what makes me the man that I am today. I'm very grateful for that because I had that strict African upbringing. But then I had the brotherhood and the camaraderie of just being in a neighborhood like the East Side, being from East Warren and all of my friends and brothers that I made along the way. So
so for you, if you can move your mic a little closer, but so you talk about the camaraderie, the upbringing, and then I was kind of interested about like how you said, like based on tradition, you have to go back to like where you're originally from. So like, why is that?
That's just to make sure that, the children are, even though they're born in another country, they're still being instilled with those traditions and those values.
Mm-hmm.
So even though, you know, I came back to America and I didn't even speak English, I still very well knew who I was, right?
Yeah.
It's because I went back home and, you know, was in the mix, you should say, right? The African mix. Then came out here and didn't really have to figure out, or didn't really have to be lost at all, because I had that base foundation. Yeah.
So like for you kind of said something I feel like is like an illustration that I think most people forget, no matter where you're from. Like you said, I had to go back home, so those morals and those values and those traditions were instilled in me to make sure I didn't forget basically where I came from. So what were those things that, being back home in West Africa, that were instilled, like, hey, Lonsani, this is what it is, like this is how you need to carry yourself? What were those things for you?
The funny thing is, since I was so young, I really don't remember like hard memories of being back there, right? Like it's very very vague, but the emotions that came over with me, you know, just making sure that you're a good person, making sure that you take care of your family, making sure that, you know, you don't disrespect or you're not rude to anyone. So those sort of baseline just characteristics, I felt like, are what followed me over into America. So I have a couple memories here and there, but I was so young that I don't really have any real like, oh no, I remember when this happened back when I was in Africa. But it's more the emotions that came over with me.
Yeah, so now we go from Chicago to the East Side again. Like my guy said, we breed leaders, champs,
on the East
all
side,
of that thing, man.
You know?
But when you come to the East Side of Detroit and then you're going throughout school and you talk about how I went back home to have those values reinstalled in me, and to know like, hey, this is how you treat people, this is how you carry yourself, this is how you take after your family. So would you say, in your opinion, coming back at 5-6 years old, you already knew like, this is who I am, this built confidence, or did that take a while, or was it like a bit of both?
No, it's funny, man. You can honestly ask all my friends that I grew up with, right? From day one that I came over here, I was probably one of the most serious 5 or 6 year olds. I was not playing around, man. You know, so I, from day one, I just felt like, okay, life is serious. Let's get to it, right? I would go to school, and this is one of the major differences between, like, I think Western culture in general and African culture. Is just we take school very serious.
For sure.
Right. So when I came over and I'm in class, just focused, not even understanding English yet, just really just so focused in school. My friends, they all, you know, kind of crowded around me, and they were like, "Yeah, no, this guy, he's a little different."
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, that was my reputation in the neighborhood. That was just like, oh yeah, Lonsani, he's just like the smart African that just moved in down the street. Right?
Yeah.
Right? So it wasn't a lot of journey and finding confidence. It was more finding my footing in a different country, right? With making sure I made the right friendships, making sure that I'm surrounding myself around things that I feel like would be conducive of being successful. So yeah, from a very young age, I think I was always eyes on the prize sort of thing. Of course, you know, you're going to be a kid every now and then,
sure.
right? Going 30 seconds in the bathroom.
Right. For sure.
But for the most part, no, very focused from the jump. Yeah.
Man, that's I feel like that's such a great place to be, in my opinion, because I was the opposite. Like, I was the kid that wanted to be, now granted, I'm still silly. I feel like I'm not going to lose that, but like, it was like, as a kid, you want to make people laugh, and I had good intentions. I wanted to see people smiling and happy. But it was like I was a goofball, and I was playing around and all of that. But it was like, to see that at 5 and 6 years old, bro, because like, it kind of goes back to what you said about like, this is my heritage, this is my lineage, that is like, no, we're not gonna tolerate anything but this right here. And it's like,
I played around though, man. I would say I was that perfect balance of always getting suspended, but also got 4.0s, right? So the teachers, my parents would come to a parent-teacher conference, and they'll be like, I just love Lonsani so much. If he would just stop talking in class, if he would just, because once he starts talking, the whole class thinks they can start talking.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I don't want to, paint this picture of I was just, perfect kid of, no, I was getting in trouble a lot, but the trouble wasn't stemmed from me not knowing who I was. It was more so just me being a kid. Kids, like you said, just want to have fun.
Yeah, man.
Like, I'm going to talk in class if I get done with my work.
Yeah, for sure. You had that balance. See, me, that was like, we got to get him out of here. We can't have him. we don't love him. We don't care about him. We got to get him up out of here, dog. He's too much. We can't even spend time to think about if we love him. He's doing too much in here, dog. But no, man, that's dope, bro. Just to like see how laser focused that you were. Even in the, like you said, kids gonna be kids, but like you knew at an early age, man. And I think that's so important for our race in general to know, like, man, you see somebody around your age and know, like, hey, man, I came from the East Side. I was here in Chicago. I went back home. I endured all these things, but this is really what helped me become the very person that I am. So, like, we fast forward to high school. I know you said you went to Renaissance. So how was that journey for you? Like, what are some things that you learned there? What are some things that you took away from that experience being at Renaissance?
No, Renaissance was a great time. I went there freshman year, and we're all the way over here in East Warren. Renaissance is like a 40-minute drive. So I would have to make that drive every single morning, and my parents wanted me to go there because it was like the best school in Detroit. Right? But the drive just got to being too much at a certain point. It was like every day 40 minutes there and back. But my time there, man, it was a lot of fun. Had a great time. But I think that's where I learned that being smart sometimes just isn't enough. You know what I mean? It was one of those things where if talent doesn't work hard work is going to beat out talent.
For sure.
So it doesn't matter if I can go into a class, sit down, learn the material, and get an A on the test. If I'm not doing the homework, I'm still going to end up getting a C in class, right? Like, so Renaissance was my first, I would say, dose of reality when it came to that, because to stay at Renaissance back in the day, I don't know the new rules, but you had to have a 2.5 GPA to stay at Renaissance. Okay? And I ended up getting a 2.4 GPA. And that was my first time ever getting a GPA that low. Middle school, all 4.0s. Elementary school, 4.0. So that happened because I was just having too much fun, right? Like, I was like, man, this material is easy. I can get an A on the exam, and I'm good. I quickly found out that life requires you to actually use your gifts consistently. So if I didn't go through that experience of, okay, I hit a wall, but not a wall that I couldn't overcome. It was a wall that I couldn't overcome if I kept being lazy. So I had to reassess and sort of readjust just my strategy for this life stuff. Like, it's not just going to come to me because, oh, Lonsani's smart. It's not. You have to actually work, even though you have the gifts, right? So Renaissance was cool, and then I ended up transferring over to Finney. And at Finney, I had a great time, man. I'm not gonna lie, I was nervous going there, actually. But when I came there, man, being from East Warren, it was all my friends. So I literally was just in school with my friends. I ended up joining the football team. We used to walk from football practice back to the block. So it was a great time, but I wasn't challenging myself, wasn't learning a lot. I think my mom noticed that, and she transferred me out to a charter school in downtown. So that's where I graduated from. But Finney was a good time. I think they closed Finney at this point, and it's called EVPA. But it was a great time. Just at least those couple semesters that I was around my friends again, and we were going to school together, because I was always the kid that went to the other school. So coming back home to Finney was fun.
Yeah, man. I think you said two things that I thought about. Like, you talked about how one, basically, Inky Johnson says it this way: when talent meets talent, talent is no longer enough. In other words, like, you were probably used to being like, Lonsani, he's locked in, he's the person that's top of his class. But then when you get to high school, or when you get to another establishment where it's like, oh, he's one of the smartest kids, but we got some more kids in here, and it's like, you can't just do what you've done in the past. You got to take it to another level. But then also, you talked about how like, even though I ran into this problem, it would only continue to be a problem if I was still lazy or if I didn't fix it. It's achievable. I can overcome this. And it goes back to what you said at the beginning about, you know, you realize that this storm is not going to be, the sun got to come out at some point. So I just love that perspective, because I feel like the earlier you have that, we are going to go through problems no matter how old we are. But I think it can help you on the journey to like, okay, I know that this is something I got to work towards or work through, but I'm going to be good because I recognize the issue. I recognize what I need to do. So, man, I love that, because, you know, so many times we see a problem and then a solution arises, we create another problem for it. So it's like you didn't allow the fact that, oh, well, I'm no longer the only smartest kid in my class. Like, I gotta be afraid, or I gotta, well, what am I gonna do next? Like, you said something like, if I don't do the homework, it's like, okay, I can major in this, but if I don't know the steps that it takes to being an entrepreneur or being a nurse or being whatever it is, it's like, I'm just a person with a degree and I don't really know what I'm doing.
So you have to do the homework. Yeah. And the homework looks different in every stage of life, and the homework to starting this podcast looks different. Right. But that experience I'm definitely grateful for, because like you said, it really showed me that, hey, talent is just not enough. Yeah. You can have an idea. You can have the best idea in your brain. You can know that you know this topic up and down to the ground. Yeah. But if you're not willing to dedicate more hours than someone that is getting up every morning and doing the thing, you're always going to lose to that person. Yeah. Every single time. Life is a marathon. So in the beginning, you might have sprinted past that person, but after a year, after 2 years, 5 years, you're going to look up and that person is going to be like lapping you. Yeah. Just by that same pace that they had of just doing homework, just doing homework, just doing homework. So it's a great analogy just for life, man. You have to be willing to put in that work, because it doesn't matter how talented you are, how smart you are, gifted you are in athletics. If you aren't willing to wake up at 5 a.m., if you aren't willing to, okay, I want to go out, I want to have fun, but if I have fun tonight, that means I have to pull an all-nighter. Yeah. If you aren't willing to understand that concept, you're never going to keep on, progressing. Self-awareness is probably the number one most important thing you need, honestly, to keep on striving for excellence. You have to be very critical on yourself, but not down yourself. Just be able to analyze, like, okay, this happened because of my lack in this area. Yeah. Like, okay, I got a 2.4 because I literally didn't do any homework. Right. You know what I mean? That was on me. That's something I can change. And once that change happened, everything else shifted. Yeah, man, I love that, man. Because it's just, that's why I say, man, I tell people all the time, like, accountability to me is like America's worst problem. Like, people, like, the downfall is the accountability. It's, to me personally, but like, and I think a lot of times we have the solution to our problem. There's certain times where it's like, I got to figure this out to understand the solution. But it's like you said, bro, I had a 2.4 because I didn't do this. So now if I do this, I'm going to see change at some point. Exactly. So now we fast forward to Michigan State, right? And go green. Go white, man. Even though I didn't go there, I wanted to go there. And I like Michigan State more than Michigan, so it's all good. We accept you, man. Yeah, man. I'm an honorary alumni. I appreciate y'all for letting me in last minute notice. Yeah. But you go to Michigan State, and then you create a scholarship push. So talk a little bit about that and how that came about. What did you see? What experience happened to where you said, man, I need to create a scholarship? Of course. So Push actually happened a little bit post-grad, and I started Push along with two of my friends, Socrates Montero, Sydney Johnson, and it just came from me hitting the group chat, right? My friends, they do a good job of just entertaining all my crazy ideas. So hit the group chat and said, hey, thinking of starting a scholarship, centered around the diversity programs office up at Michigan State. The diversity programs, everybody just calls it the DPO. It was where a lot of kids from, Detroit, we ended up going to Michigan State and ended up in the DPO office studying, getting resources. Like, without the DPO, I probably wouldn't have graduated, right? That's how impactful the DPO is. All the, faculty that work within the DPO, they really care about the students. So Socrates and Sydney also had a very personal relationship with the DPO. And I was just like, hey, what do you guys think about starting a scholarship? Because at this point, I had left medicine and then I was in tech, which was great for, I guess, just my life trajectory. But the one thing that I didn't consider that I would be losing when I left medicine was the fact that I was serving my purpose whilst I was studying in medicine. So it was like two birds with one stone.
Yeah.
Because when you're in medicine, you're literally learning how to heal people, learning how the human body works, learning what people would need to be healthy, and just impact your community at a wide scale.
Yeah.
So as you're studying, as you're grinding, you're also fulfilling your purpose in a way. When I transitioned over to corporate, which is what tech is, it's just basically corporate.
Right.
All you do is really presentations, you code a little bit, of course, you send emails. You just aren't getting that fulfilling feeling, right? That I got used to in medicine. So when my friends and I, we were having fun, the summer of 22, we're having a lot of fun. We were traveling, did that, did this. We were out somewhere and like I had an outer body experience. I said, there has to be more to life than this. You know what I mean? Like this just can't be everything that we're able to do.
Yeah.
So hit the chat. We all had our ideas. We all created a proposal, input it here, input it there. I think it should do this. I think it should do that. So then that's how PUSH, the Providing for Undergraduate Students Facing Hardship. That's what PUSH stands for. That's how it came about. So the first year we had 3 scholarships. And the only requirements for the scholarship, they had to be an independent student, right? So they had to qualify for financial aid.
Right.
And then they also had to be first generation. And they also had to be a STEM student. So science, technology, engineering, or mathematics.
Yeah.
And we don't have a GPA requirement for the scholarship because I just thought about the fact that if this scholarship is meant to help students going through hardship, the first thing to drop when a student goes through hardship is their GPA. Right. So it would be kind of counterintuitive for us to have a requirement. But for the last 3 years that we've done the scholarship, man, all the students have been above 3.5. So even if we had a GPA requirement, they would have crushed it. Right. So it really was born from a need to fill that void that I was missing, that impact, that feeling like I'm actually, serving a purpose in the community that I lost from leaving medicine. Yeah. So leaving medicine was great in terms of like a life choice, but I kind of underestimated the fact that I felt very fulfilled whilst I was studying, medicine and the whole 9 yards. So it was necessary because we were just traveling, man, and having a good time, which is very important, I think. But at a certain point, you have to ask yourself the bigger question of, what's next? What's after this? And I think that's the point that we got to.
Yeah, man. It's like you basically saw your situation like, man, I'm having a great time making good money. I'm doing the things that I want to do that I worked hard for. But now the next step is impact. How can I have impact? How can I reach the people in my community where I come from? How can I take my hand and reach back into my community and say, hey, this is what I'm giving to those who grew up like me or grew up in a neighborhood that I grew up in. So I love that, man, because the way my brain works, I'm like the pass it on method. Like I work at a school and now I find myself telling the kids the stories that my teachers told me, or like how my teachers would get on me about stuff. And I'm like, and it don't make it any worse. They calling me Unc, OG, and I'm only 26, bro. That's crazy. I'm like, what are y'all gonna do when I actually really get old?
We need to readjust the definitions of
like what's going on, bro?
You know what I mean? But that's good that you're making that impact, though, man. Like, let me ask you, what age were you when you started that? If you're 26 right now, what age did it dawn on you that, hey, I want to go back and actually start mentoring it? Because that's a decision that you have to come to. Yeah,
I feel like for me, it was kind of similar to you. Like, I feel like as a kid, I knew early, like, I'll probably say 8 years old, like, I wanted to help people. Like, even if it was taking somebody trash out, even if it was like walking somebody across the street, because that's the upbringing I come from. I saw my mom help her sisters, and she was the youngest. I saw my dad, help his brother who was, an alcoholic, doing all that, and he never judged him. If my uncle called him like, man, little brother, I need you to come get me, And, you know, sometimes I go with my dad and my uncle would be drunk as a skunk or like somewhere he shouldn't have been. And my dad would just rush to get him. And that was what stood out to me about that was like everybody in my dad's family, after my uncle, like that was my dad's only brother. He just has sisters. So it's like my uncle passed away or whatever. And it just like the bond between them is like crazy that they had. It was like crazy because I never saw my dad like upset with him or like want to fight him or nothing like that. Like I'm pretty sure my dad did get irritated, like, bro, like you got to chill out, bro. But he like I never saw that from him physically. Like he would, wherever his brother was, he would go get him. It was just like, man, I want to do that. Like whatever it is, I don't know what I want to do as far as a career, but I know I want to help somebody. I want to do that. I want to see somebody, see their situation, not judge them and be like, bro, let me help you out. Like, I know there's something better for you. Like you said, I know it has to be more than life than this. 100%. So like, I would say like around the age of 8. And then like, I started figuring out what I wanted to do once I got to high school. At first, I wanted to be a trainer with sports. And I did graduate with a degree in fitness and wellness, but it's crazy how I'm in schools. Like I'm not doing, like I still coach with sports, but like my main thing is like in education. And it's so weird because I said, bro, I would never in my life teach because I knew how I was. Like I knew I was causing them teachers real life pain. Like I knew
you said like, real life pain.
Like the fact that you went to school for how many ever years and got your degree as a teacher and I'm here making it crazy. Like I wasn't the kid that was like cussing out teachers and egging your car, but I was
you was still
I was up there.
Yeah,
I was top 5. I was top 5 for sure. I wasn't number 1, but I was definitely between that 3 and 5 mark.
And really, you could have got to 1 if you wanted to.
Yeah, I could have.
You knew exactly
but I was
the
like,
steps you needed to get to 1.
Yeah, I don't want that. I don't want that pressure. I don't want that pressure. But like,
pressure.
Just like, just being in education and seeing how my teachers took time with me, it was like, bro, I gotta do that for somebody. I feel like I'm doing a disservice if I don't help somebody in some form or fashion. So that's what I would say for me, bro. Just like seeing my family and seeing how many people knowing, like, it's crazy. Like, they knew, like, this kid is coming in here to play around. And they still, like, love me, care for me, you know, all that, bro. So it's just like, I have no reason not to do that for somebody, man.
And now that you're on this side of it, though, as a teacher, as faculty, you probably see what emotion stemmed them to, you know, always care about the kids. You know, as a kid, you were probably like, man, I probably, you know, they probably hate me. right? But now that you're on this side, you definitely understand there's no way that a teacher, you know what I mean, really just hate a student. They really, at the most, try to understand what's causing them.
Yeah, so, like, why are you doing this?
Because all of that is stemmed from some sort of, like, you know, pain or something that the student is feeling or something of that nature. In a perfect world, though, man, where teachers got compensated what they're due, I would actually have been a teacher.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, like a high school teacher, that cool, you know, 11th grade math teacher. I teach algebra 1, algebra 2. You know what I mean?
See, me, I couldn't do that math, bro. But the crazy part is, I love algebra, but once we got to geometry, I checked out. I'm like, nah, this ain't it, bro. Like, come on.
They started adding shapes.
Yeah, I'm like, shapes supposed to be fun. Like, if I grab a square, it's supposed to be a good time. Like, all these formulas is kind of crazy, but nah, man, I couldn't do the math. I would definitely, because I don't teach anymore. I'm a behavior. I deal with like behavior and attendance and all of that. But if I had to go back and teach again, I would definitely, I was talking about this with somebody the other day. I would definitely no higher than 6th grade. I'd probably take 7th grade maybe.
Yeah.
But after that, I can't do it. I can't do it, man. But I would teach English because I love English growing up. I love reading, still love reading, but
100%.
Yeah, man.
I just have a podcast, so
I'm like, talking and all that. That's my thing, man. I love talking to the kids, hanging out, you know, like seeing them in the morning. We actually, you know, this Monday, the kids start back. So just seeing them and high-fiving them and giving them something to be happy about, man. That's what it's about for me. Like, man, you gotta, that impact. Like you said, if teachers was compensated the way, because I feel like teachers, doctors are compensated. You know,
that's debatable.
Debatable, it is.
Yeah, that's debatable.
With this economy, for sure. Yeah. But like teachers, for sure, I feel like are without a doubt underpaid, man, because the work that they do. I feel like they are secondary parents in a way, especially those. We all have those teachers where it's like this is like a big brother to me, or like
100%.
he did more than, or she did more than teach me or something like that. So
Exactly.
I agree with you on that, man.
Yeah, no,
So now, what is something, because the theme this season for the podcast is intentional clarity. It's not enough to get clarity on the situation, because somebody could give you clarity and you don't do anything with it. Like we talked about the 2.4, right? And you could have just been like, oh, I know why, but still not do nothing. I could have stayed lazy. I could have stayed where I was at. So what is a moment that you've experienced recently where you got intentional clarity? A situation came to you, it was clear, but you were intentional about making sure that whatever steps are needed to make sure this thing happens.
Yeah. No, that's a great question, man. The best example that I have of intentional clarity would have to be the moment that I decided to leave medicine and transition out. It was on my 25th birthday, and I had family, friends around, obviously a party, and we were having fun. But then, I don't know, I just like had a moment where I was just standing there. There's a video, like one of my friends like, happy birthday, Lonsani. And in that video, that's the moment that I was just standing there and thought to myself, man, you don't have anything to show for these 25 years of life besides the fact that you can walk into a room and people say, oh, there goes Lonsani. He's smart. He's about to be a doctor. Right. And I didn't really care about any of those type of accolades. Outside, perceptions never really mattered to me. So when that hit me, I was like, man, you at this party, you having fun. If your mom called you right now for $100, you couldn't even give it to her. Obviously it's because I was a broke student, and it was all justifiable, right? But it was to the point that I had to, really ask myself the big question of, did I like learning and did I like helping people, or did I want to be a doctor? And for a long time, I couldn't differentiate between those two feelings, right? I thought, you're a doctor if you're smart and you like helping people, you should be a doctor. But as I was going through my surgical rotations and the whole 9 yards, getting closer to the actual job, because you go to school for 12 years to get a job. Right. That's what the journey is. And we don't even really think of it that way when we're in the journey, because you're always head down studying. You got to study for exams. You have to study for the MCAT. You have to study for, your STEP. You have to study. But thankfully, when COVID happened, it put a pause on everything momentarily. Right. And it gave me that moment to just reassess what I wanted to do. And once I've realized, like, okay, I don't really care for the job of being a doctor. Right. Because we would shadow a 16-hour operation, and all of my peers would be excited. They'll be like, man, that was amazing. The way that, this happened and that happened. And I'll be like, man, I wanted to go home 10 hours ago. You know what I mean? And it just got to the point where I was doing well academically. Like I got published for my research and the whole nine. I was doing well, but my heart wasn't in it. So at that point I had to ask myself, okay, what do you want to do? And I'm Muslim, by the way. So Ramadan was coming up. That my birthday is in February. Ramadan that year was in April. So Ramadan is coming up, and it was a Friday during Ramadan. I was in surgical rotations. I was also working, partly full time on the weekend. So when you add up all the hours, it was about 80 hours a week between school, rotations, part-time job, and then also teaching myself how to program. Right. So I told God, literally, I'm going to do this 80-hour a week, crazy schedule. I'll do it this entire year, and I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to complain one time, but I don't want to be doing this next Ramadan. Yeah. So next Ramadan, that's my bargain with you. I will not complain. I will have the utmost patience. I won't lose faith this entire time. Yeah. But this time next year, inshallah, I won't be still doing this, right? Yeah. And literally, man, I worked 80 hours a week for that entire year. Like that entire year. And the offer from Microsoft came December 12th of that year. So if I would have gave up at any point of that year, it would have just fizzled out. You know what I mean? And that's what I tell people all the time when it comes down to being patient in the storm. Yeah. You have to, because going through the storm, you become who you need to be to grab hold of the blessings that you're requesting.
For sure.
Because you could, if I would have got the job when I first wanted it in February of that year, I would have fumbled it because I hadn't learned any, of the real tech skills. All I had was, studying skills, medical, all of that. But I didn't have any of the transferable skills. So that entire year, I was getting decline. And I had to reassess, go back to the drawing board. And I didn't become someone that was capable of handling that job until I got in December. So when you're going through the trials and tribulations, that really, that experience really showed me that it's okay. And life is a marathon, and the little bit of time that you're going through a hard time is only going to be a blip if you stay the course. The number of times that you stop and give up and stop and give up, all you're doing is prolonging it. Yeah. You have to stay a course. And I think a quote that I honestly live by is the fact that it's your life. You can do whatever you want to do with it. Just be willing to stand behind the work involved with those decisions.
For sure.
Whatever you decide to do it.
Yeah.
But really do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I think that was the intentional clarity that I received. That I'm very thankful for. Just, okay, if I want to do this thing, I have to really commit, and it's going to take 80 hours a week for a year for me to do it.
Yeah, right? Man.
Yeah, it was it was definitely
dope,
tough.
Bro.
Yeah,
that's dope.
Man.
Like,
I hope that answered your question.
No, for sure, man. I feel like you said something towards the end about like you have to be patient in the storm to receive the very thing that you're asking for. So that's key, man, in any journey, because the constant, the thing that is similar with all of us, we are all on a journey. Now, where we are, that may be different, but like you said, you went to God about this. You know what I'm saying? God, this is what it is. If this is for me, then I'll be where I need to be. And like you said, December 12th, that's what it is, man. And you stayed patient. You told yourself, I would not complain. I would not, waver. And like you said, just imagine if you, like I tell people all the time, bro, like it ain't about, to me, when it comes to the journey, like obviously you have your whys, the reason why you do what you do, or your motivations behind certain things. But I'm like, man, if you ain't gonna do it for nobody else, do it for you. Like this, you gotta, if it's no other reason why you do it for you, man. Exactly. Like you can't, because at the end of the day, you had to live with that decision if you gave up. Nobody else, like people would be affected by it, like, dang, why you quit, bro? You had so much going for you. But at the end of the day, you got to deal with the fact, like, dang, I put in all this work and I missed out on how great I am or how great I could have been. So it's like my biggest thing is always don't miss out on how great you are. Yeah. Like, bump if somebody else miss out, it is what it is, but don't you miss out on how great you can be.
100%. People think that the price of commitment and consistency is too high, but the bill that you get for regret is probably 10 times that.
For sure.
So you have to make sure that you're making decisions that you can live with, because if you tried your hardest and then didn't get it, you can go to sleep with that.
For sure.
I tried, you know what I mean? And this didn't happen, but I promise you along that journey, another blessing that you didn't even consider is going to pop up.
Yeah.
Right. Because who you become along the way is going to be more important than whatever imaginary end goal you really, think you want for yourself.
Sure.
It'll come exactly in the package that you need it to.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Before we get out of here, man, something new I've started to do is ask my guests if there is any piece of advice that you could give the viewers or somebody who will stop by and watch the podcast. What would it be?
Keep going. It's tough right now. I think 2025 and the current state of the world is probably the hardest it's ever been to be the ages between 20 and 30. But that doesn't mean that they're going to be any more like forgiving in the long run. So just keep going. It's difficult, and you probably are banging your head against the wall trying to figure out what to do, where to go, but keep banging your head against the wall, because the wall is going to eventually break. So just keep going, and make use of your friends, your resources, talk to people, go to therapy. You know, just keep fighting. All right, it's gonna end up working out eventually.
Like, you may be in your room and you may hear him say, keep banging your head up against the wall. He's not saying
not literal.
do that literally.
Metaphor.
Calm down. Take it easy. Relax. Get you a water. Like you said, go to therapy. But look, thank y'all for tuning in to the converSAYtion podcast. I'll see y'all same time, same place. All right, that was good, bro. Got it. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I got you. Yes, sir, man. That's, like I said, man, I want to have us do something to where you can come in and talk to the guys, man. I meet with them Monday and Wednesday, and I think that'll be a good space for you to kind of see